Hey everyone, and welcome to the Ingles table. I'm Smoking Joe Lasher, and today I'm going to be showing you how I make my Southern fried chicken with tomato gravy. It's an Appalachian favorite. I got everything I need at my local Ingles, so let's get started. Southern fried chicken starts with a great breading. Ingles has some amazing breading mixes on the shelf at the store, but what I'm going to do is make my own. And for me, Southern starts with an all-purpose flour. I've got my favorite spicy barbecue rub. We're gonna put this into there, almost a quarter cup of that. The more of that you put, obviously the spicier it's gonna be, and also the darker your chicken's gonna be when you fry it. And then I've got some black pepper, some onion powder, some garlic powder, and a little bit more salt. We're gonna just mix that in real good. And all we're gonna do is set this aside because we've got a few steps to do before we're ready to drop our chicken into there. So we're gonna set that aside. I'm going to pull out some boneless chicken thighs I bought at the Ingles meat department. And we're going to do just a little bit of buttering these up with some buttermilk. You can drop these into a gallon freezer bag. And then I have my Laura Lynn buttermilk right out of the side here. I'm going to give that a little shake. Just cover the chicken. You know, a lot of folks, especially if you're looking at like very Southern cooking or soul food cooking even, will put half a cup of pickle juice in there too. I'm not gonna do that today because we're gonna kind of keep this in Appalachian style. Cover that, rub it in really good. I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator for at least an hour to 2 hours, and then overnight wouldn't even hurt. So we're gonna set this to the side, put that in the fridge, and we're gonna start on our tomato gravy. All right, so we're gonna do some Appalachian style tomato gravy, and this is not gonna be confused with my Italian grandmother's Sunday gravy. Totally different. The fresh tomatoes out of the garden, we've got those chopped up. What I've done is I've cooked about 4 large slices of thick cut bacon, and I've already chopped that up here, and I'm using about 2 tablespoons of the grease left from that to saute some fresh chopped onion. And as this onion begins to become translucent and cooked in with that grease, we're gonna go ahead and add butter because we're in the South, right? So Southern butter. Gonna let that start to melt down. Mix that in. And then I've got about 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. We're gonna pop that in there and mix that in. Start to make somewhat of a roux or gravy that way. You want to stir pretty frequently and keep your pan on a medium temperature, not too hot. It's always better to go a little slower when you're making a sauce or a gravy like this. Let the heat work, but you don't want to burn it. And it's easy to do when you're talking about butter and flour. So once that flour is good and mixed in, and the butter's melted onto those translucent onions, we're gonna add our crushed tomatoes right out of the garden. If you don't have a fresh garden or you don't pick those out of the Ingles produce department, you can also use a can of Laura Lynn crushed tomatoes. Pour that in. I've got some chicken broth. We're gonna pour that in. Stir that up real well. And then I've got some tomato paste. Put that in. We're just gonna let that low to medium heat really do the trick. So we're gonna put that in, let it simmer for a while. And we'll have a delicious tomato gravy. So let's let this simmer for just a couple of minutes, and we'll pull the chicken out and get it ready to go in the fryer. Okay, so we've got our tomato gravy. It's thickened up nicely. That chicken stock is thinned down, so we're gonna add some heavy whipping cream to that, or some heavy cream. We'll stir that in. And remember those 4 pieces of bacon that I fried up earlier? We've chopped that up. I'm gonna pour that in. I'm gonna give this a really good stir, just like so. And man, that's almost, you could probably eat this as a soup right now. It's gonna be super delicious. So what we're gonna do is that we have this ready. We're gonna put our oven on low heat. We're just gonna pop this in the oven and keep it warm. Okay, so the tomato gravy is done and it is delicious. It's keeping warm in the oven. What we've got now, I've pulled my breading mix back over and I've got those delicious chicken thighs that I pulled from the Ingles meat department. They've been marinating in this buttermilk for a couple of hours. We don't want to wash that milk off, but we do want to let it drip. We're just gonna put that right into the breading mix. I'll pull one more out of here. Put it right into the breading mix like so. What we're going to do is just simply cover that with our special breading. Like I said, Ingles department has plenty of options. If you'd like to find a different type of chicken fry, just go to the flour and sugar department and you'll see all of those lined up on the shelf. This is my own little homemade recipe. I like a little spice to that southern fried chicken. While we're breading this, you notice I've got a rack set to the side with a pan underlying it. That's just so we can set this over and let that breading adhere to it. It only takes a couple of minutes, so we don't have to wait too long for this. Once we get it nice and coated, we're just gonna sit it right over here to the side. And while this is waiting to fry, I've got a cast iron pan with some canola oil in it, and we're heating that up to approximately 350 degrees. Now, how do I know it's going to be 350 degrees? Is I have an instant read thermometer. It's great for meats. It's really a necessity in any kitchen. If you don't have one, it's okay. My southern grandmother would say when that oil starts to become wavy, it's ready to go. But what I like to do is just keep an eye on it with an instant read thermometer. We're going to get to 350 degrees and we're going to lay these chicken thighs, which is what they are, chicken thighs. You can do breasts or even bone-in chicken in the same recipe. We're gonna lay these into the oil, let them get golden brown, and then plate them up. All right, folks, so we've got our chicken breaded. We've got our oil up to about 350 degrees, which is perfect. We're gonna take these tongs and we're just gonna, and you always have to be careful, of course, frying. We're just gonna drop this right into the oil and listen to that nice sizzle start right up. We're just going to let this go until we use our instant read thermometer to an internal temperature of 165. We're going to pull them off and put them onto this drying rack, let them cool just a minute, and top that with gravy, served with some sliced tomato and biscuit. It's going to be delicious. All right, folks, so here we have it. We've checked the internal temperature, 165 on chicken. You can take it to 160 or 165. It's going to continue to cook for a little while we put it on our drying rack. Again, I changed out this rack. You don't want to cross-contaminate raw and cooked chicken. That's the #1 lesson when you're dealing with chicken. So we've got a beautiful piece of fried chicken thigh right here. Let me back up. If you want to do that southern style, let's put that chicken right on top of these fresh tomatoes from the Ingles produce department. Then we're going to put that piece of chicken right there. I've got this amazing tomato gravy. We're just going to put that down just like so. And a summer garden dish like this wouldn't be complete in the South without some fresh green onion and an amazing buttermilk biscuit. And there you go, gang. I want to thank you so much for joining me here at the Ingles table. Be sure to check out the website for more tips, tricks, and recipes, and I'll see you next time.